Hey all, welcome to Parker's Reefs. In today's episode, we're going to review this entire budget-friendly range from MaxSpect. Hey guys, thanks for joining me on today's episode of Parker's Reefs. We've got this huge range here from MaxSpect. Some of the products are already out, some of them are soon to come out, so they're pre-release products that I've got my hands on. And I should point out that MaxSpect have provided all of these products here for this video and a future upcoming review of how these products are going in a couple weeks' time. However, you can rest assured that my opinions will remain completely unbiased as we go through each and every one of these products. Now, MaxSpect have reached out for a couple of reasons. I've got a couple of different tanks going throughout my house. In fact, I've got 6 tanks running, and some of them range from being ultra cheap all the way up to ultra expensive. And I always get feedback from viewers saying that you could do that cheaper, or you should have bought a better quality equipment. There always seems to be a little bit of a gap between the ultra cheap end of the market and the very expensive end of the market. And that's where MaxSpect have jumped in, excuse the pun, with this jump range of products. Now, MaxSpect are no new player to the game. They've had equipment out for some time now, ranging from skimmers to flow pumps. They're quite well known for their gyres, to their lights, and even return pumps. That they've been in the market for a little while now. Now, where the jump range comes in is they've basically released what you'd call a black label or a no frills brand of their own products, so that they can do it with a few less features and bring the price down to make it a budget-friendly range. Now, that doesn't mean that they're poor quality, and it doesn't mean that they're without features. It just means that they're just, that it's almost like the Intel Celeron version if you're an old school IT person like I am, where you got the quality of Intel, but you've got the Celeron branded CPU, which is just the slightly less shiny version, but still a really, really good value option. So, all right, so we've got 4 products here, and I think the best way to cover this is I'll do one video, this video, and the unboxing. I'll go over the basic, we'll have a look at each product and get the specs, and then I'll do a follow-up video on each one of these so you can see how they operate over a bit of time. So we'll start off with the unboxing of the light. I'll just get these other ones out of the way. All right, so we've got the MaxSpect light here, the MJ-L165. Now, this product is going to be available in Australia in about 2 weeks' time. It's a pre-release product that I got my hands on here. It is going to sell for about $350 Australian. Now, of course, that's going to vary from retailer to retailer, but that's about the price range we're looking at. So let's get this unit unboxed and have a look at it. I'm under the impression that this light is to kind of bridge the gap between a nano light and something high-end like a Radian or a Philips Coral Care. So we've got an instruction booklet which is quite thick and good quality, which is something you don't often see these days. You obviously get your Australian power lead with a power supply. We get in this, which is something which is nice to see on a high-end-ish type light, you get a full bracket and mounting plate. And of course, last but not least, you get the light. This is the MaxSpect Jump LED here. All right, so when we have a look at the cluster of the LEDs here, the LEDs are split up into 10 different colors, and there are, I believe, 42 different LEDs in there to a max power of 65 watts. So whilst this light may only be 65 watts of power, which is not massive, it's definitely not going to replace something like a Philips Coral Care or even one of the Gen 5 Radians. It's at 65 watts, it's still pretty powerful, and it's going to run pretty well over those medium-sized tanks. So we'll see how that operates. It's got direct Wi-Fi control to it, so of course you get full access via an app. I'm pretty keen to see how that one performs. We'll get him over the Idiot Proof Reef tank and go from there, but that'll be in a follow-up video. Let's unbox the next product. All right, next up in the jump range from MaxSpect is their centrifugal return pump. Now, this is a DC pump that has sine wave technology, and they're saying there's going to be near silent operation. It also comes in a 6,000 litre, 8,000 litre, 10,000 litre, and a 12,000 litre range option, which is huge. They are big, big pumps. So this is not really aimed at your nano, this is aimed at a large tank. And for that sort of technology, the price range is between about $370 and $480 Australian, depending on how big you go on the pump. We'll get this guy unboxed and have a look at him. And again, you get a very nice, high quality instruction manual, some packaging, and then the pump itself, which this is the 10,000 litre version. And I must admit, it's a big pump. It looks pretty cool in the matte black finish with this turbine style intake. You get obviously our power pack, if I can get out of the pack. Power pack, Australian lead. You get a couple of different sized outlets, and if you didn't realize this was a high flowing pump before, you will when you have a look at the size of the outlets. This bad boy is going to flow a lot of water, obviously 10,000 litres an hour. We get, looks like a mount for the bracket, which is always a nice touch. A mount for the bracket, a mount for the controller. And this is the controller here with a nice bright display. Well, I'm told it's bright. We'll power him up at some stage and test that out. But this is the 10,000 litre option. I'm pretty keen to see how it operates. So we'll get that set up maybe on a one of my water barrels out the back so we can really put the 10,000 litres per hour to a thorough test, and we'll follow that up in a video to come in the next week or so. All right, next up in the jump range is this Jaya 4000 flow pump. Now, they also do a 2000, which is a little bit smaller, but this is the 4000 we've got here. Now, this is available to purchase now in Australia. And let me just check the pricing. The 4000 comes in at about $380 Australian retail, and the 2000 is only a little bit less at $360. So, in my opinion, you'd go for the 4000 unless you're going to have trouble hiding it. So let's have a look at what we get in the pack here. We get this big controller, which is something I'm really excited to use because on my current version of MaxSpec Jayas, I've got the older style controller, which, to be honest, after some time, it can be hard to read the display, where this is a big liquid crystal display, should be good. We get the trademark power pack and Australian lead, and then we get the pump itself, which is, of course, got some foam separating the magnets. Now, you'll notice it's got these bright orange impellers in there now. We do also have replacement black impellers if you don't want the orange impellers to be that visible, but if nothing else, it gives you some spares. So I'm gonna whack this on my main display tank just before it gets drained of water so we can test the flow out over a 6-foot range, because this will be a good comparison against the Jayas that I've had on there before. So keen to see how that one operates, and it should be pretty good to go. Let's jump on to the next product in the jump range. All right, last but absolutely not least is this MaxSpec Jump Skimmer. Now, this is one of the items that's not released yet. Will come out in about 2 weeks' time. It's going to retail for somewhere around $650 to $700 Australian for that sort of mark. Now, this skimmer does a pretty large range of aquariums. They say at heavy stocking, it's good for 400 litres, all the way up to 1,000 litres for light to medium sort of stocking. I know it's always difficult to rate skimmers based on the volume because it honestly depends. You could have a 5,000 litre tank with one chromis in there, and this skimmer is going to absolutely do it without breaking a sweat. Conversely, if you try to put you know, a bunch of predators in a 200 litre tank, it's going to be a lot more bio load. So hence the big range there. But let's get this skimmer out of the box and have a look. And it comes beautifully wrapped in these sort of felt style bags. And oh man, the acrylic is nice. Now, I should point out that this is one of the dual inlet motors from MaxSpec, which is really cool. It means it's got 2 needle wheels, 2 air intakes. So you're basically trying to get double the performance out of the motor, which is pretty cool. We get a big controller. We get power pack with Australian plug. And another feature which I'm really keen to see on many more skimmers is the float switch. Super simple, just plugs into the top of the skimmer lid here, connects up to the controller. When your skimmer cup gets full, it's going to turn off. Doesn't get much better than that. We get a couple of accessories or spare parts there. We'll check out the manual. And of course, yeah, you get the manual. And not to be forgotten, we also get the little diffuser plate, which I've got to mount in there yet. That goes over the outlet of those 2 pumps. I think it might go that way. We'll check the instructions to check that out. But first impressions of this skimmer are that it's such high quality acrylic. I must admit, I've been super impressed by all the skimmers I've seen recently, and the acrylic has just come leaps and bounds from skimmers maybe 5 years ago or definitely 10 years ago. The acrylic is just really, really nice. Let's check out, we just twist these little knobs here, and that will give us access. We've got to just pull the volutes off, and we should be able to remove the top now. The quality of the acrylic on that is just beautiful, and that does give you quick access to the motor, which I believe also just sort of squishes down. It does, yeah. It's got this little rubberized mount in there, which means it's going to be so quiet. Tiny little pump, but with the dual inlets, it's going to be a little beast. So we'll check out the instructions to see which way that goes. I'm not sure, it could go that way, or it could go that way maybe with these rubber bits. We'll check out the instructions and get this guy fitted up to a tank. The test bed that I've been running skimmers on lately for, all these reviews has been my large frag tank, where I've had a eShops S200 in there. I've had a Great White DC7 Plus in there. I'm pretty keen to get this MaxSpec jump skimmer in there and see how it performs. There's a few features I really like about it. I'm quite intrigued by this little air intake jigger here. I don't quite know how it operates. I'll have to check out the instructions for that. Should be good to see. The twin motors, the water level adjuster here. Got this little gate down there that you wind up and down with this here. We've got some water level height indicators on the side of the body, which, man, that makes sense. If you've ever been trying to troubleshoot or dial a skimmer in and people ask you what water depth it's in, you've got to get a measuring tape out, put it down in the water. It just makes no sense whatsoever. This, you can just look on the side of the body and go that it's sitting in 22 centimeters of water. So simple, yet makes so much sense. I'm also keen to see how this controller goes. It's definitely a good size controller. We've got a good reading on there, so we'll get him fired up and check it all out. And of course, yeah, we've got very detailed instructions, which, like I said, is something that seems to be overlooked very often these days. So we'll get this skimmer set up on the on my large frag tank and just see what sort of gunk it pulls out. All right, guys, there you have it. That's the introduction to the MaxSpec Jump range of products. They're budget-friendly products ranging from the dual inlet skimmer, the MaxSpec Jump Gyre flow pump, the DC controllable return pump, and a huge return pump at that, all the way down to this interesting LED, which I'm keen to see how it compares against some others on the market. As pointed out, I want to make these videos basically as interactive as possible. So this was the unboxing and the introduction to the range. I'll do a follow-up video on each and every one of these products, but I don't just want to have me talking about what I think you want to hear or what MaxSpec want me to tell you about these products. I want to answer the questions you have. So if you've got any particular questions that you want to see about this skimmer or any sort of features you want to see covered or about this flow pump, whatever it may be, pop it in the comment section down below. I'll do my best under these COVID-19 lockdown restrictions to do as much as I can to answer each and every one of your questions. So I guess I'll probably leave it at that for this unboxing video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, give it a thumbs up. If you're keen on seeing the follow-up of any one of these products, or if you just want to help me out in this YouTube venture, please consider subscribing to the channel. Should be a little button down there in that corner. Click that, it'll take 2 seconds of your time, cost you no money. It'll go a long way to helping me out of this YouTube venture. So I'll leave it at that, guys. Stay safe and keep reefing. Cheers, bye.